Hello there! Right here we have a brand new 1.18 snapshot. This is part 2 of the Caves and Cliffs, being snapshot 21W44A. In it we get new caves underneath old worlds, as well as they address the security issue with players having their names displayed. This and much more we will be covering in this review, so make sure you hit the like button. And let's get started. The first thing they did is they added in the new cave systems to old worlds. So this is my 1.17 world, and if you come look underneath of it, you can see that even though we are below Y level 0, we now get the deeper caves as well as the taller worlds, but we also get to the actual caves down here. Currently it looks like they're not full of deep slate, but instead they're full of just stone. But there is the tough blocks down here. And here's also some lichen. The transitions between the old 1.17 caves and the new 1.18 ones seem to be pretty noticeable. And all of the old bedrock that was in the 1.17 chunks is now turned into deep slate. That's why it looks really flat right here, because this was all nice flat bedrock. We used to have void underneath, but now we have this nice little cave. And if we break down to the bottom of the world, you can see that it looks like there currently isn't any bedrock underneath of this. But instead we can actually see a bunch of different types of ores and also the tough block. And we even got some gravel here, which is floating. Pretty weird. But they'll probably fix this problem where we have deep slate as well as not having bedrock down here. Because they said they are still in the stages of working on trying to make the transition as nice as possible between the old chunks and the new chunk. Look at this geode here that generated right between the old and new. So the top got cut off. And there's also some of the new biomes in these old chunks. So here's the lush caves. I tried to find some of the new dripstone caves in the old chunks, but instead it took me to an area where there wasn't any. Overall, it's a good start, but they still got a bit more to do before they can have the full release of 1.18. Now when loading up your 1.17 world in 1.18, there is no kind of message saying, do you want to update your world? Do you want to have the new caves in your old world? Because at the moment, it just automatically switches all the empty chunks underneath of old worlds into them being filled up with blocks and caves, and eventually there's going to be bedrock down here, and the old bedrock is being removed. They did talk about adding options so that you can choose to keep your old bedrock and not have it be converted into deep slate, and also choose not to have any blocks placed below, but so far we haven't seen that. So I hope it comes pretty soon. Otherwise, you're going to have to use like third-party programs to prevent some chunks from getting updated. What do you guys think about this? Do you think there should be a type of toggle? Let me know in the comments. They also added this new online option where you can have it so that realms notifications can be on or you can turn them off, and the ability to hide your name from showing up on servers list. So you can turn this on or off. So if you turn it off when people hover over top of different servers, your name actually won't show up as being online. This was kind of a security issue where people were being targeted because the game was automatically giving this information out publicly to anybody who was checking servers. And there was a bot that was keeping track of when famous people joined servers, then people would try to go onto that server and troll that player. An incident actually occurred where they thought that they found Jeb on a server and they trolled him, but it wasn't actually Jeb, as just a fake account. And the fake Jeb was actually AFKing my wither skeleton farm. And for those who don't know, Jeb actually doesn't approve of auto mob farms, which is one way that you could actually tell that this wasn't the real Jeb. And it's very possible that the person who put this fake Jeb in actually did this as a joke, knowing that Jeb doesn't like auto mob farms. Even though it was a fake Jeb, it did get the attention of the Mojang developer, and they implemented this fix. They also changed the way that simulation distance works in Java to make it more like Bedrock Edition. So simulation distance just means anything inside its area is working like normal Minecraft, where render distance can be actually higher, but it's just for visuals, meaning that you can see stuff out far, but it doesn't mean stuff is actually occurring out there. So they edited it so that blocks and fluids are now affected by the simulation distance. So let's go ahead and I set up this testing world, and I have the chunk processing status bees, which just tell me what exactly is going on in really far away chunks. So with a render distance of 12, that means from where I'm standing plus 12 chunks going on any direction, these are all going to be loaded as entity processing chunks, meaning entities can do stuff like bees can grow up. But anything beyond this limit, stuff will act differently out there. The first noticeable change is that there is no unique chunk that just operates blocks or redstone. This seems to be completely removed. It just goes straight from entity processing chunks straight to the chunks that you can only see visually. And in those chunks, the only thing that really seems that goes on there is that it keeps track of the mob cap. And I actually have a shulker that's way down there beyond the simulated distance. Yet that shulker still counts to mob cap. If you look in the F3 and right beside the M, it shows a 1. This is probably not a good thing, because that means if you turn up your render distance, it's actually counting all the mobs around you. So hopefully they change that. Now I actually have a test where I'm placing blocks out in these rendered only chunks, and those blocks are supposed to power some different devices out there. But notice in chat that they don't actually activate until you load them. So right there it said loaded 2. And actually loaded one of the command blocks that's out here. And there's the shulker that I was talking about that's being counted. Now if we put a redstone device right over top of the chunk border between the sim distance and the render distance, and if we go ahead and activate the redstone device out there, the command block isn't going to actually activate once again until we hop into the next chunk and load it. So it don't seem like you can send any redstone signals into the rendered only chunks. The next thing we're going to do is lower our simulation distance to the smallest, which is 5, and then we're going to see if we can get these crops to grow. So the plants grew up, and even though we only have a sim distance of 5, meaning that it only goes out to here, it actually grows plants beyond that. And you can see these actually grow all the way out to the 8 chunk radius where random ticks occur. That means you can actually have stuff that is random tick occur beyond where the game is actually having most stuff occur. Because of this change, they do recommend that you try out your redstone contraptions to see if they still work the same way. In this new snapshot, they also came in with optimized entity collision. You might notice it before, if you have a lot of entities in one spot, the delay can be quite noticeable. Look at this Minecraft house here. It seems all normal until you get over here. It's completely unsupported underneath. What is something strange that you found in the snapshots? Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you don't miss my future crazy discoveries. The Mojang developers are also working hard in fixing different bugs that popped up during the process of making these new updates to the 1.18. So once again, this week we'll take a look at all the different things that they fixed over the past week. Some of these are actually considered new features. It used to be every time that you would sleep away a night by just hopping in your bed, once it would turn daytime, it would also reset the time that the next time it would rain. This included thunder, meaning that it was almost impossible to get rain or thunder if you sleep away every night. This wasn't such a big issue in the past, but now that we actually have people relying on rain, which produces snow and snowy biomes, to fill up their cauldrons with powder snow, it's kind of important that it at least snows some of the time, even if you sleep away all the nights. Because of this, they actually changed it. So now sleeping away the night doesn't set the rain value to something higher than 1 day. And it won't actually reset the rain unless it's raining while you go to sleep. Then when you wake up, it's going to reset the weather. Now the rain stopped. They fixed a few problems to do with mine shafts and torches. The first one being that torches were being placed opposite of where they were supposed to be, and they were attaching to blocks that weren't actually wood. There was also cases where it appeared that there were torches lighting up an area, but there wasn't actually any torches around. They also resolved the problem where mine shafts that were underneath of Y level 0 had less torches than ones above it. Large dripstone columns could actually pop up through the surface of the ground and leave these dripstone points. This was an unintended feature, so they removed these. With tweaks that they recently made to biomes, different structures which were supposed to spawn in different mobs, such as witch huts spawning in witches, weren't actually working. This was unintended, so they went ahead and fixed this, so you should be able to get guardians and ocean monuments, and similar thing with other structures. A similar problem was happening inside of nether fortresses with wither skeletons. They were only spawning on actual nether brick. They resolved this, so once again, my wither skeleton farm using a piglin and dog will work. Foxes and wolves were actually supposed to spawn here in the new grow biome, but they weren't, so now that's changed. Foxes were also supposed to spawn on top of podzol, as well as coarse dirt, so they could spawn in these type of biomes, but they weren't, so now this has changed. There was a problem that when the wither was actually low health, it wasn't actually coming down from the sky, and this has been resolved. In the previous snapshots, there were some problems with the nether dimension and generating. The very top of the world was actually missing the bedrock, and this is where it should be, but instead it's just flat with some decorations on top, as well as the basalt deltas, so now it looks like this once again. The new mountain biomes that they added in weren't actually necessary in order to get the advancement called adventure time. So they added it so you need all the different mountains in order to get it. They also fixed it so you have to get the new cave biomes, as well as getting ocean and deep ocean biomes. There was a similar problem with the renaming of the giant spruce taigas. Now that they're called old growth spruce taiga, they also had to be added into the advancement. This included the old growth birch forest. And they did this for the windswept biomes, including gravelly hills and windswept savanna. So now there's a total of 50 different biomes you have to visit before getting this advancement. In some places, this new powder snow that generates on these biomes wasn't being exposed to the surface, so it was impossible for players to actually fall into it. Now, once again, players can actually come across this. They came in and fixed 3 different bugs to do with the noise settings. One of them had to do with the amplified worlds, and their noise setting wasn't being used at all. But amplified worlds are still not an option for 1.18. Icebergs are supposed to be this floating thing on the ocean, but the problem is the icebergs were actually attaching themselves to the bottom of the ocean. This is not fixed in the new version. There was a bug when you try to stop the JFR testing. It wasn't actually giving you a link to where the output was. So now when you stop it, the thing that pops up is actually a link that you can click on. Now like the video and come join my Twitch stream where we discover the newest things about 1.18, and you're able to join the Snapshot testing server. You can find all the info over on my Discord. I'll see you guys over at my Twitch stream. Bye bye!